Happy Sunday and all that jazz. Welcome back to Night TV. Come on in, close the door behind you, and let's get into this episode of Death on the Dirt Road. Listen, before we get all into this case, which does include a trigger warning, let me go ahead and say that now. I just have to say, these comments, they really hold me accountable. I have been receiving so many good comments on my last few videos, and geez, when you think that people aren't liking what you do and you think that you're doing it for nothing, there's always a reminder that comes along and lets you know that somebody is really watching. So I thank you guys. Thank you to all my new subscribers. I appreciate you. None of you have gone unnoticed. I really missed you guys. I'm happy to be back with you. Life has been happening. I'm in the midst of writing my second novel. Ooh, I hate mentioning things before they are brought into fruition, but it's okay because that also holds me accountable. But you're not here to hear me talk about that. We're going to go ahead and get into this case. And today's Death on the Dirt Road feature is Sharron Jarrell. Let me also say the cat is out of the bag. Everybody knows I have a lisp. It's hard for me to pronounce certain words. It looks like I got something in my cheeks all the time. My tongue, I speak with my tongue. Okay, so let's just go ahead and get that over with and pretend like we don't notice. Okay, so if you hear me stumble over a word, it's just that. It's just a lisp. I'm 37 years old and still dealing with it. So on June 25th, 1998, Sharron Jarrell called EMS and reported that her 10-month-old baby, Donald Jarrell Jr., was not breathing. When paramedics arrived, they found that the baby was already lifeless and that rigor mortis had begun to set in. Other than Sharron Jarrell, who lived in the trailer, there was also Donald Jarrell Sr., her husband, her mother, as well as 3 other minor children who social services took custody of soon after arriving. After an autopsy, the coroner determined that the baby had died from repeated and severe sexual abuse and had died the previous day. The cause of death was determined to be suffocation and smothering. Investigators asked Sharron Jarrell about her whereabouts the previous day, and she stated that she had been out shopping with her mother and children and that she returned home at around 9 p.m. after a page from her husband. She initially stated that when she first checked on the baby the previous night, she kissed him goodnight and he was fine. She then changed her story and stated that the father had smothered him because he had a bad temper and could not take the baby's crying. She changed the story once again and said that she did know that the baby was dead the previous night, but that she did not call police because she did not want to upset her mother and children. Then, the next day, upon discovering her baby's death, she called the father at work, and the same day called the insurance company, which had a $24,000 life insurance policy on the baby. Both Sharron and Donald Jarrell were arrested that same day, and Sharron said that she did know that Donald was molesting the baby. While in jail, Sharron discussed the baby's death with several inmates and stated that she had used a dildo on baby Donald to prepare him for sex with his father. She also stated that she and Donald planned to smother the baby to make it look like SIDS because the baby had an upcoming doctor's appointment. She knew that the abuse would be readily apparent to anyone who was examining him. The plan was that Donald would kill the baby while Sharron, her mother, and the kids were out shopping, and that he would page her when the deed was done. Donald Jarrell was then charged with murder, which he pled guilty but mentally ill to. Sharron Jarrell received a myriad of charges, including homicide by child abuse, accessory before the fact of murder, accessory after the fact of murder, and first-degree criminal sexual conduct. She went on to be convicted of all counts except the criminal sexual conduct. She received life sentences for the homicide by child abuse and accessory before the fact convictions, and 15 years for the accessory after the fact conviction. And I'm reading my notes over here because it's a lot to remember. And they were concurrent to her life sentences. I can't even begin to narrate my disgust about this case. But I will say, when I was in college, we took a field trip over to SLED. And if you don't know what SLED is, it's the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division. We went over there and we went to the computer crime section of SLED. And there was a photo on the wall of the cutest baby. But the baby, we found out later on, was sadly passed away. And this was before I started working at the Department of Corrections. So I knew nothing about these people. And come to find out that that was Sharron Jarrell's baby, because I remember clearly that the baby was 10 months old, and they were saying how the parents had sexually abused the baby, and that, you know, he was kind of a mascot for the office because the case was so sad. And that photo, it stuck out to me while we were there, and it was just a full circle moment to realize that that was Sharron Jarrell's baby. Now, I hope I'm pronouncing their name correctly. I really don't care, but, you know, just for accuracy's sake, I've heard it pronounced Jarrell. I've heard it pronounced Jarrell. So, you know, there's that. I want to talk about Sharron Jarrell for a moment. Did know her, you know, this is Death on the Dirt Road, so of course I give my thoughts on the inmates after the fact. So I did know her. I worked with her extensively over the years, and she was a special case. That's the best way that I know how to put it. Very quiet, you know, not one to really cause a ruckus, but, you know, I remember there were some times that she did get into trouble. I want to say vaguely a lot of it was drug use, but I know that her appearance changed drastically over the years. I heard somebody refer to her as like a robot cat. That is so mean, but I mean, it fits the bill. I don't know what it is. I know she's on a lot of medication, and so that can have a lot to do with it, because those inmates that I talked about on Blue Ridge in a previous video, I was talking about how they get like tardive dyskinesia, and I do believe that she is one of those cases. She, again, is in good company. She has a girlfriend named Jennifer Gasperson. I don't know if they're still together, because of course I'm not there anymore, but while I was there, they were a pretty committed couple to each other. Jennifer was also a baby killer, and they were pretty weird together, Jennifer being the weirder of the two. Sharron was just words fail me when it comes to Sharron. They really do, because again, she was really quiet. I mean, the most interaction I've had with her was like if I was on her housing unit working, or if she came to the pill line and I happened to be on the yard that day, or sometimes in the cafeteria, because she eats in the cafeteria often. She always wears a dress. I do remember that. It's very rare that I saw her in the pants that they provided. I know that she goes to church a lot, so that might have a lot to do with the dress. And she had longer hair when I met her, and then she cut it down to almost nothing. Weird does not even begin to describe it for me, because she's one of those people who you can tell they have like a racism issue, but they hide it well, you know. I do believe her girlfriend's husband, he was a bigot. You know, he didn't like black people, and so that was the reason why she killed the baby, because the baby turned out to be half black and he didn't like it. So I mean, they were in really good company. Now, I will say that it made me sick to my stomach when I realized that that was her baby at SLED. I mean, and to prepare the baby with a dildo. The baby was 10 months old, you guys, and so I didn't get into this part while giving the details of the case, but that really shifted his organs around. That's what really killed him. They ruined and destroyed that baby's insides by using that, and use your imagination as to where it was going and what the father was doing with the baby. He was 10 months. Both of them are sick. They are sicker than sick. I mean, what pleasure do you derive from molesting your own child, your son? What is it? But I mean, I hate to say it like this, and I try to keep my comments as generous as possible, but I can see that being the case with Sharron. I can see her living in a nasty home, because that room, Lord, it was atrocious. And, you know, if you remember back in the video, it stated that the house was disgusting. And I'm sorry if you guys hear outside noises. I have upstairs neighbors who are sometimes extremely loud, but they had fly droppings, fly papers, clabber milk bottles. The house smelled of urine. I can see this being the case, because Sharron is not a very clean person, even in prison. You know, I've seen some inmates who really take pride in the way that they look and the way that their rooms look and just their overall appearance. They will put that uniform under the mattress to give it a crease. That was not Sharron, honey. The way she wakes up is the way that she comes outside. And that's just really all that I can say on her. I mean, it's a lot, but it's not a lot, because people like that, you really have trouble summing up their personality in a video like this one. I mean, you would have to know Sharron to know what I am talking about. I mean, there's just something about her that's not right, and something about her girlfriend that's not right. So they are like a match made in hell, if you know what I mean, because you have to really be sick to do something like that, and to walk around like the world owes you something, which she does. And that's just my thoughts on that. I'm not even going to go any further, because I try to keep these videos peaceful. But how can you be peaceful about someone who would go as far? Not only did you kill the baby, but you sexually assaulted and molested that baby. That baby who did not have a voice, who did not even have his start in the world. And you thought that was okay. And then you called the police the day after, saying that you already knew he was dead, but that, you didn't want to alarm your mother and your other children. What is wrong? And $24,000 for a life? Come on, Sharron. But that's been my thoughts on this case. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Death on a Dirt Road. I'll be back soon with another one. Again, this is an older case. It's from 1998. So again, not that many photos. But that's really been a running theme, as I can see, with these South Carolina cases, because South Carolina tends to lock you up and throw away the key. So the archives are hard to find. There's really not a lot of information because they've been in prison for so long. And I thought you guys would like to hear about this one, because it's the same, but it's different from the cases that I've been covering. But let me know what you guys think about this, and I'll probably rest on the death of a child cases some, because they are really hard to get through and they weigh on me heavily after I'm done with them. But like, comment, subscribe. This has been Nike TV. I'll see you in the next one.